You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
So what you gonna do?
Let me talk to you, dummies.
Oh, yeah.
You're where it's at.
If you're smart like me, you gotta listen.
And if you don't listen to it,
I'll come out of your computer and body slam your ass.
Don't be a Melvin.
I will scar you.
open your third eye.
Woo! It's gonna be cool.
Oh, what a rush.
It's showtime!
We had a lovely conversation.
To the interactive interview. Interactive wrestling radio.
The Epicenter.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to this week's Impact Wrestling Media Teleconference. This is Ross Foreman. We're going to bring our special guest in right away. No Josh Matthews today. So let's welcome to the call Rich Swann. Welcome to the teleconference, and more important, welcome to Impact Wrestling.
Hey, Ross. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. More important, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and I am happy to be here. I'm very happy to be on the telecast, and I'm very happy to be in Impact Wrestling.
Well, we, of course, are thrilled to have you, and tomorrow night on Impact, your debut match in Impact Wrestling. Talk to us about that.
Tomorrow night's going to be my debut, and it's going to be against the cult leader, Trevor Lee. The cult of Lee. Me and him, we went at it, and for an Impact debut, I feel like I made one heck of an impact, and it was definitely an eye-opener, and it definitely is going to open up the wrestling world's eyes as to what I can do.
Well, let's talk about it. You're certainly a superstar, high-flying. What do you bring to Impact Wrestling, and what are you looking at down the line?
So what I bring to Impact Wrestling is something I like to call CART. Charisma, athleticism, and raw talent. And what I'm looking to do is to, for the lack of a better word, make an impact. I'm looking to excite the fans. I'm looking to put on some of the most amazing matches ever imaginable. I'm looking to win gold. I'm looking to, help myself and Impact get to another level.
All righty. Well, lots of media have called in today wanting to talk to you from around the world. We're going to open it up momentarily for the media questions. All I ask is that, as always, please, one question and one question alone. We have a lot of media waiting to speak to Rich. Please identify yourself and your media outlet.
And I would just like to state, right now, my wife and I, we're living a happy life, and right now, we would like to, forget about the past and focus on the present and our future, and focus on positivity and, have our careers, be on the up and up. And that's all I have to say on that situation.
All right. Well, we appreciate that, and I know myself and the media will certainly respect you, and media will not be taking any questions regarding any past situations. So please let's focus on the future. He's got a great, promising future, a lot of things upcoming. Of course, we have Slammiversary on July 22nd, and it's going to be a fun one with Rich Swann on board now. So at that point, we will open up for media questions. *6 to get in queue.
Q&A session started. To ask your question, press *6. If you'd like to ask a question, your request has been received. You may now ask your question.
Hey, Mr. Swann, it's James Walsh from the Wrestling Epicenter. Pleasure to talk to you today.
Hey, James, how are you?
I'm doing great. So I'm not going to touch on the situation at your request, but I did want to ask, there was reports that you were thinking about stepping away from the ring, and then you kind of almost immediately thereafter signed with Impact Wrestling. How has the opportunity been for you at Impact Wrestling thus far, and what made you decide that you were going to continue on in professional wrestling?
So after, everything, I was booked for a line of several events. And, people on social media didn't take too kindly to that. And, I am a human being myself, you know what I'm saying? And, I kind of fell into a depression, and I felt like professional wrestling for me, I just maybe I should just step away and try to figure something out for myself. And me and my wife, we talked it over, and I went to the New Orleans WrestleCon, and I went to the Impact versus Lucha Underground, and some of the things that I saw: Teddy Hart, Austin Aries, Scott Steiner, Pentagon, Phoenix, all these guys going out there killing it. Brian Cage, some of the guys that I've come up with in this industry, seeing them kill it, and that feeling never goes away, and I just decided, I gotta get back in there, and I gotta find myself. And lo and behold, Impact Wrestling, they gave me the opportunity, and they're giving me the chance. They're giving me my second chance, and I'm not gonna let that fade.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Muted.
Ryan Ryder for Main Event Radio. Rich Swann, welcome to Impact Wrestling. I want to know, which wrestlers are you looking forward to face?
I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully scrapping it with Pentagon. I definitely want to have another rematch against Phoenix. I want to have a match against Sami Callihan. The thing with me and Sami Callihan, we have come up in this industry. He took me under his wing when I was young, and helped me out in this business. And to see what he's turned into, and to see him in Impact Wrestling, and now we're both here, I think that we could have a match that would potentially blow the roof off of Impact Wrestling. And that's the person I want to wrestle the most in Impact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Ian Carey from SEScoops.com. Rich, when the X Division began, you were only about 11 or 12 years old. I'm wondering if you were a fan of the X Division growing up, and what competing in the X Division means to you.
Oh, man, I was such a fan. Seeing guys like Frankie Kazarian, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Sanjay Dutt, Jay Lethal. Man, the list goes on and on. Those guys used to kill it. AJ, of course. Those guys used to kill it. And, at that point in time, professional wrestling, there was only one company. And then to see these guys, kind of throw out this style, this cruiserweight style, this style that had been kind of forgotten about and abandoned and thrown on national TV, it mesmerized me. And, growing up, aspiring to be a professional wrestler, my size and stature, that was one of the goals, if not the goal, to be in the X Division, to be in Impact, to get the X Division championship. And, guys like Matt Seidel, now in Impact Wrestling, another guy that, I studied and looked at, and he's an amazing performer. Now he's the X Division champion. Oh, man, that's a dream right there for me. That means the world. Hello?
Hey, Rich, this is Jeff from iSwap Podcast and iSwapPodcast.com. So obviously you love to entertain the crowd. Just talk about your excitement right now for your debut match, and also talk about the atmosphere about the Impact Wrestling now that you are witnessing it firsthand.
Oh, man, the excitement to have the world see this debut of mine from Impact. Oh, man, I can't even, put into words, especially given that opportunity to just kill it. And, me and Trevor Lee, again, like I said, we went out there and we put it all on the line. Man, and what can I say about the atmosphere? Impact Wrestling, especially at the college in Windsor, the crowd, they were ecstatic. They were like so loud the whole night. Like it was like the way, I can't even explain it. Like they were hyped from like the first match to the last match. Like there was no like loss of emotion. And like then as in like the back, like it's a family, man. And I've grown up with a lot of the guys that, you know, like Eddie Edwards and Sammy Callahan and Moose. Like I've come up with these guys, and you know, it's like a reuniting for me.
Thank you, Rich. Very happy for you.
Thank you.
Rich, we're going to go to an email question from Sifu Reads Books. Would like to know, I dig the hairdo. What's the story behind it?
All right. So the story behind my hair, oh man, there is a legend named Minoru Suzuki, and man, I've always been a fan of his hairstyle. I always loved it. The crazy designs, the crazy, you know, it's shaved bald in the front with the designs. But, oh, wait a minute. If you look at the back of his head, he has this long ponytail, you know, and there's another guy named Shingo Takagi who used to beat me up all the time in Japan. But when we became a tag team, when I was in the stable of Junction 3, he had the same like type of hairdo, like a mullet, but crazy blonde designs in the side. And he decided, hey, Rich, you should get that as well. We'll form nice as a nice tag team. And it was kind of like paying homage to those two guys and just sporting a new look for my debut.
I guess a logical follow-up question, would you ever team with DJ Z? You guys be the hair combination.
Oh, man, I'd love the team with DJ Z. I'd also love to wrestle DJ Z. I think we would put on an amazing match.
Hey, Rich, this is Adik here representing the Eagle Total Channel from Israel. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, my man. Thank you. We saw you getting in the ring with Austin Aries at One Night Only Zero Fear. Do you think a rematch, is that something you consider in the future and maybe a World Heavyweight title opportunity?
You know, that night was an amazing night for me. My Impact Wrestling, you know, debut, if you would, One Night Only debut. And I got an Impact Championship title shot against a man that, again, I've grown up with, and a man that I've watched and studied since the early 2000s. And to get in the ring with him that night was amazing. And I definitely feel like if I worked my hardest and got up, you know, to the status, I definitely feel like there's a future opportunity for the Impact Championship against Austin Aries or whomever is the champion. But I hope it is Austin Aries, because me and Austin Aries, we've got that relationship. And when we get into the ring, it's definitely a Donnybrook. It's a brawl. And it's also a technical, you know, a match that, you know, you don't want to miss. So I definitely hope and look forward to an opportunity with Austin Aries again.
Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
First, we're going to go to a question from Tony Quant at the Daily Mirror over in the UK.
Awesome.
He would. Can you explain what it was like walking into a new locker room and how were you received when you arrived in Impact?
You know, when I walked into the Impact locker room, for the lack of a better word or term, like it just felt like I was walking into my home, because like I've said before on this interview, a lot of these guys I've known for a very long time, and it was like they brought in family, and they assured me that, you know, this is a place where we're going to, you know, focus on entertaining these people and putting on the best show that we can possible. And, you know, and look forward to growing as a company as a whole, and they accepted me in this company.
Hi, Rich. Lewis from the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. How you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome to Impact. I'm glad you're with Impact Wrestling now. Question. I know you had the match with Austin Aries at Zero Fear. Unfortunately, you weren't successful. But do you have another title in mind? Do you want another shot at the world title, or do you have maybe the X Division title in mind? What's the short range and long range goal for you?
I definitely, as a goal of mine, definitely since I was a young child, I always wanted to be the X Division champion, seeing guys like AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, Low Key, Sanjay, like Jay Lethal, Amazing Red, like the list goes on and on. I always wanted to, set foot in those ways and, have those matches and have that championship. That's definitely a goal of mine. And, one great always said, if you're not in the business to become world champion, then why are you in business? Definitely a long-term goal in Impact Wrestling is to be the top guy in Impact Wrestling. And, just because of my size and stature, I want to show the world that it does not matter what trials and tribulations you've gone through and, whatever size you are, you can be the best and the very best and the very top guy. That's my long-term goal for Impact Wrestling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Rich, I will tell you, you're generating some very unique questions. We get one from Andrew Reed. He'd like to know who taught you to dance and who on the Impact roster would you like to have in a dance-off?
Oh, man, that is an amazing question. So, no one taught me really how to dance. I just kind of picked it up and, you know what? The TV tube watching Too Cold Scorpio and Marcus Alexander Bagwell, those two guys, they taught me how to dance, and you can see it in my dancing. Iceman King Parsons, yeah, those guys, they taught me how to dance. But as of who I would love to have a dance-off with, man, there's two people, and one would shock you. One I'd love to have a dance-off with Grado at some point in time. And the second, I'd love to have a dance-off with the Machine Brian Cage because I just want to see, what he can do, his move, his body, and I just want to see if he can break it out. It's been rumored that he can bust a spin-a-rooney out. But which is a breakdancing move for you people that don't know that.
All right, well, I'm sure that will be a very entertaining little thing with you, and certainly with Grado, if not with Brian Cage as well.
Oh yes, sir.
Hey, this is Viju from Sportskida in India. Welcome to Impact Wrestling, Mr. Swann. My question is, how excited are you for Slammiversary, and who is your dream opponent for Slammiversary?
I'm very excited for, Slammiversary, and I'm excited to be here in Impact Wrestling. And if I am fortunate enough to get an opportunity on Slammiversary, I'm just going to throw an off-the-wall person out here that, Jake Christ. I feel like he is one of the greatest wrestlers in this industry today, and I think me and him would set the world on fire if we could have an opening match at Slammiversary or something like that. I'd love that.
We'll go to a question from Yagshi Grader. What is your favorite cookie?
What's my favorite cookie? My favorite cookie, if I'm eating healthy, it's Lenny and Larry's oatmeal raisin cookies, but if I could be honest, I'd love to stop by the McDonald's and get the oatmeal raisin cookies from there. Those are the absolute best. They're baked to perfection. They're tasty and they're scrumptious.
All right, well, we'll follow that up with a question from Michael Barnes. What is your opinion of the Impact Tag Team division, and is there anyone you would like to team with?
My opinion on the Impact Tag division, it's amazing. You've got LAX, you've got DJZ, and Andrew Everett. Those two tag teams right there, just explosive, amazing. Some of the matches that they have put on, trading the tag team championships back and forth, have been phenomenal. I've seen some things in their matches that I have never, ever seen in my life in this business before. And I've been in professional wrestling now for a little over 10 years. And, you know, you see something new every day. And, but as of who I would love to team with in Impact Wrestling, it would be probably Desmond Xavier. A lot in his wrestling career I see myself, and I think he's one of the brightest stars in this industry today. And I'd love to team with him. I think we'd come up with a lot of crazy combinations, and we'd fit well.
Hi, Rich. This is BQ with the Impact Lounge podcast and V2 Wrestling. So in 2018, my favorite thing that Impact has done has been the burial of Rosemary. What's been your impression of the work your wife has done so far, that segment in particular, and what were some of the things she told you about the company when she was first contracted and before you came aboard?
You know, I think all of the things that she's doing in Impact Wrestling is unique and amazing, and it's some things that, you know, haven't really been touched with in the business before. And the segment with the burial and the mist and the flame, that was crazy. It was amazing. Like, I think, like, there's nothing like, you know, what she's doing. You know, like, I can't even explain it. It's like a phenomenon, and people, if I could just give a spoiler, at Impact Wrestling, she and her zombie brides, they were corralling around the ring, and they were slow, and they were moving with these mannerisms, and the crowd was mesmerized. And by the time they got into the ring, and by the time she was in the middle of the ring, without having to do a single action, the crowd already was chanting, "This is awesome." So when you can do that in this industry without you know, any physical action, you have something very special. I'm sorry. What she told me about the company, when she first signed, she said it was, you know, everybody was, you know, a family, and like I said before, and she already knew, like, a lot of the people that worked there, you know, we were mutual friends with, and we just figured, you know, it'd be the right move.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick alert for the media who have sent me a few text messages. Yes, you may get back in queue for a second question.
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
That was just a message for some of the media out there.
Oh, gotcha.
Hey, Rick. Teleconference.com. I was curious, what is your contract status like with the company? Have you signed a deal? Is it short-term, long-term, or is it kind of seeing how things work out for both sides?
So currently, I have been offered a contract, and we are looking to do business together, and, you know, we're going to see where the future takes us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Rich, this is Jeff once again from ISL Podcast and ISLPodcast.com. What have you taken from being at WWE that you've taken out to Impact Wrestling, and you've taken it now to other places that you've wrestled at? What's the one main thing that you've learned from there?
One of the things that I've definitely learned was storytelling. You know, in my wrestling, making everything mean the most and making the most out of everything that you're doing in that ring, and trying to give, you know, the fans, you know, their wow, worth their money's worth. And that's one thing that I've definitely taken from the World Wrestling Entertainment to every single company and every person that I've wrestled. I've applied my style and, you know, the way I've been, you know, taught to the world of wrestling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Which we'll go to a question here from Jerry P. You have a very unique style. What wrestlers would you say you've tried to mold yourself after?
You know, this is going to sound, you know, it's crazy. I'd say that I'm molded after, like, guys like Hayabusa, Ice King Parsons, RV, and Bret Hart. Like for, like, I don't know, like the technical standpoint, like that's like how I kind of like tried to mold myself. Like RVD, like, oh, he was always so laid back and chill, even though he just did something crazy and amazing and to the crowd. They're thinking, like, I can't even fathom doing that, and he's got his hands out by his side with a smirk on his face. So Hayabusa with his reckless abandonment, and Sabu as well. Like, those two, like, with their reckless abandonment, I also put that in my style of wrestling, like, with the crazy flips and dives over the top rope. And the Hitman, like I said, like, for the technical standpoint, those are the kind of guys that I've molded myself after.
Hey, Rich, this is Riju from Sportskida again. My question is, how different will the Rich Swann of Impact Wrestling be as compared to what we're used to seeing?
There's not going to be too much difference unless something makes me change or makes me snap in a certain type of way. But there's always going to be the happy, dancing, vibrant, smiling Rich Swann that you're used to seeing. The Rich Swann that you were used to seeing on your TV screens is going to be on Pop, on Impact, and going to be lighting the skies up again.
Rich, Chris Featherstone, Pancakes and Power Slam Show. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. All right, so my question for you today is, throughout the history of pro wrestling, there has been, within TNA, in the 11 years of the TNA World Championship, there's only been one black champion, Bobby Lashley. Throughout NWA, before it merged to TNA, decades later, R-Truth was champ, and many people would argue that there has been a black WWE champion. What are your thoughts on just the deficit of black world champs in the WWE, and how you plan to break that barrier if that's your goal?
You know, I look at it like this. Back in the day, it was definitely, you know, it's such a touchy subject, you know, because I don't look at the world in race, creed, stature, you know, sexual orientation. Like, the fact that, you know, there has been so little African American black world champions in the industry, I wouldn't say it's sad, but it is a little bit. And how I plan to break that barrier and mold is for people to not look at me as I'm just like a black man or an African American. I'm a professional wrestler, just like Matt Seidel's a professional wrestler. just like Andrew Everett's a professional wrestler, just like Moose is a professional wrestler. We're not defying each other by color or anything. We're defying each other by skill. And but if I ever was to win a world championship and I was looked at in that light, I would definitely embrace it as well, because it would be very special for, you know, African Americans to have a role model or have, and I'm not saying that is necessarily myself, but it would be awesome to see young African Americans being able to look up to a world champion, you know, somebody that, you know, hey, that person's just like me. But at the same time, we as people should try to break away from labels and come together.
Fantastic. Thanks for your input. Best wishes to you, Rich.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, we're going to go to a question that comes in anonymous. I'm not sure if that's Mr. Anonymous or Mrs. Anonymous, but came in, how long have you been playing the guitar, and what is your favorite band?
I've been playing the guitar since I was about 7 years old. I never had a lesson. I played by ear. And my favorite band is so hard. Like, I range anywhere from Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, to like Amity Affliction, Crown the Empire, Kill Switch Engage, like Alice Cooper, like anything. Like, I just love music. That's definitely my second passion, music.
Hi, Rich. David Dunn with the New Zealand Pro Wrestling Informer. You've been in the ring with Austin Aries, and you mentioned coming up with guys like Moose. So I just want to know, who do you think is going to be victorious at Slammiversary? What's your take on the Slammiversary main event between Aries and Moose?
Man, you know, I'd have to give it to Moose, man. I've been in the ring with Austin Aries, and I've been in the ring with Moose. And Moose is just a different breed of athlete. The guy is over 6 foot tall. He's, you know, 250 plus pounds. And if somebody's sitting on the top rope, for many people that don't know, when somebody's sitting on the top rope, that's high. And this boy, he gets a vertical leap, and his feet will leave the mat and will touch somebody's face when they're sitting on the top rope. That's a monster. And Austin Aries, though he is one of the greatest, his words, the greatest man that has ever lived, I just don't think he can match that. But I think, nonetheless, they're going to put on an amazing match and one to talk about.
Hi, Rich, BQ with the Impact Lounge and V2 Wrestling again. You mentioned going through a depressive state earlier, and depression is also obviously a big issue in the world, and I personally think it's a bigger issue amongst wrestling fans than people really realize. But what would you say to someone going through some of the feelings that you were going through with the situation you discussed earlier? Like, how would you recommend just someone get through, being maybe in a similar depressive state?
I'd suggest, finding a lot of inner peace, meditation, praying. I'd suggest finding the people that matter to you most and that you hold near and dear, and that you feel comfortable talking to about, like, your thoughts, therapy. I'd suggest, like, going to your family and anything that is negative energy in you, or anything that makes you feel negative, find a positive out of that negative and turn it, and bring yourself. And, with guidance from people, you'll know that you're not alone. And that's definitely what helps me. Just talking to the people that have helped me, and through some of the toughest times in my life, and that's definitely what I would suggest. And just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to tell people that you're depressed or anything like that, because that's gonna be inside you more. That's gonna hurt you more.
All right, thank you for taking that question.
Okay, thank you.
Rich, we're going to go to a question from Stephen Hall. I'd like to know what match type that you have not done yet would you like to do, and why?
I would love to do, and this is going to sound crazy, I'd love to do, like, for the lack of a better term, death match, a hardcore match, an extreme match, because I've never gotten the opportunity to show that artistic side in wrestling of myself, and guys like Cactus Jack and Abyss, Sabu, Hayabusa, some of the greats like Onita and Mr. Pogo. Those are guys like that, I also grew up watching, and it was a side that I also wanted to test out and see, and the right setting and with the right appropriate, story, I'd love to do a match like that. And for the reason why, I just want to show my diversity in my my diversity in professional wrestling and my artistic side.
Hey, this is Riju from Sportskida again. So you mentioned Sami Callihan is a friend of yours. What do you think of how infamous he's become as a performer and how much controversy he's creating with his character?
I think it was inevitable. He's always been one of the most charismatic professional wrestlers that I've ever seen. The first time I ever seen him was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the ECW arena, and man, I was blown away. I'd never seen a guy with so much intensity and so much like I'm trying to explain, and that translates to today. Like, he's older now, and I think he's matured, and I think he's, people could say what they want to say. Oh, he's dangerous, this, and that. But he generates some of the biggest buzz in our industry today. People beg and want for Sami Callihan, and I think he has definitely made himself a phenomenon in our business.
A question coming in from Sifu, who'd like to know, if you weren't a professional wrestler, what occupation would you have taken up?
So I would have probably been, I probably would have been a singer, tried to, focus on my music career or my music that I play, or I would I went to school to be I went to school to be like an EMS, like I was a protective service agency. I went to a vocational school, and then I got an alternative diploma, and I probably would have been a police officer or a firefighter or a coroner or something like that, but I finished school early and, became a professional wrestler.
Hi, Rich. Lewis here again for the Tap Down Wrestling Podcast Network. If there was a second Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground show, who would you like to face off against in Lucha Underground, and why?
Man, one guy I'd like to definitely go one-on-one with. Already, I've gone against Phoenix, which is going to be coming up here on Impact Wrestling. You guys are going to definitely want to check that out. We fought forever. But another guy I would definitely like to step into the ring with would be King Cuerno from Lucha Underground. And some people may not know who that is in Impact Wrestling, but I would definitely love to wrestle him.
Last System X wants to know, who would you team up with to take on LAX?
I definitely would team up with Desmond Xavier because seeing some of the moves that LAX does, like, man, the moonsault off the back, the springboard moonsault combination that they do, man, I think that being Desmond would light the world on fire with those boys and do some of the craziest things that, you know, professional wrestling has yet to see.
All righty, Rich. Well, with that one, we will wrap it up for this week. We'll give you the floor here for a final thought.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here on this telecast, and I hope you guys check me out on Impact Wrestling on Pop. And if you want to get at me on Twitter, it's at GottaGetSwann. And just know that we're going to party all night long.
All righty, Rich. Tomorrow night on Impact, it's Rich Swann against Trevor Lee, his debut match on Impact. Certainly looking forward to that, and hopefully down the line we can get a little dance off with you and Grado.
Awesome.
All right, Rich, thank you so much. Media, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Q&A session is over. Goodbye.